And in the closing frame of that match, Stevens was merely a spectator. Trump was superb. Closed out victory with a 142 total clearance, and that's the highest break of the group so far. And if it stays that way, he'll qualify for a £500 bonus. Here, though, the first chance falls to Stevens.
One.
Alan Chamberlain there, just looking to see whether the brown will go back on its own spot. Clearly it's very tight, hence the use of the plastic implement that helps the referees so much. We know for certain, because of the two reds just above it, the black won't pot into the top left-hand pocket as we're looking at the table. But the way he's played that,
6.
It does pot into top right. Just starting on the other table, by the way, it's Mark Davis against Ryan Day. Day, a fellow Welshman and good friend of Matthew Stevens. And of course, as always, we'll keep you right up to date with what's occurring there.
Thirteen.
Never easy, that shot, right into the heart of the pocket, and the judgment of pace for the blue could not have been any better. Ideally, to make this a realistic frame-winning chance, you would think Stevens at some point would have to dislodge the two reds just above the black. Can't do that yet, and he didn't intend to catch the pack there, I don't think.
19.
Does have a recovery red to right-hand middle again. And by just grazing the pack with his shot off the blue, he's actually opened another red which might come in useful here. Well, position surrendered, but at least he's not gone in off. That would have been cruel. So a hard-working break of 23 comes to an end.
Matthew Stevens, 23.
They've had some rare old battles, these two, and there was one quirky encounter between Murphy and Stevens last season at the Haiku World Open in China's southernmost province. Stevens beat Murphy in the last 16, remarkably using a borrowed cue. Basically, to get to Haiku, you have to take a plane to either Shanghai, Beijing, and then a connecting flight. Well, Stevens put his cue on the first flight, but unfortunately, the luggage didn't make the connection, so he arrived in Haiku without his own stick. Not recommended at professional level, I can tell you. Regardless, he beat Dave Gilbert and Murphy using two different borrowed cues. Then he went on to beat Judd Trump and Neil Robertson to reach the final before losing out to the defending champion Mark Allen 10-4. Now, I know what you're thinking. It wasn't a case like you might get down at the local pub or the club where a cue is handed over between players for certain shots. He did borrow a cue off another player, not Shaun. But still, to use an alien piece of wood and win a top-level professional snooker match with it takes some doing. Now that's nicely cued. One cue story I remember from many years ago, qualifiers up at the Norbrook Castle Hotel in Blackpool in the early 90s. And there was a very good player from Stockport involved called Nick Dyson, who never really fulfilled his potential. He was an extremely good player. He was up against a gentleman called Malcolm Bradley. Anyway, Nick's father went off to Haydock Park races with, inadvertently, Nick's cue in the boot of his car. So Dyson had to use a borrowed cue. It got to 4-4. Thanks to a tannoy announcement at Haydock. Dyson's father was alerted to the fact that he'd got his son's cue in the car. He hastily drove back to Blackpool, arrived just in time for the deciding frame. Nick was given his own cue and lost the decider,
18.
Beaten 5-4. Anyway, as I digress, Stevens is building up a substantial lead here. Just mentioning Nick Dyson there and saying he was an underachiever, and one has to also put Matthew Stevens in that bracket. Okay, he's a former UK champion, a former Masters champion as well. He's had a good career, but he's a very classy player.
31.
And most people think he should have won more.
$32.
19th in the world rankings. He should be higher than that.
$39. 40.
Well, I think this frame has gone west for Shaun Murphy. Hasn't potted a ball. In contrast, Stevens has looked really sharp.
46. 47. $53. 53.
Well, that didn't sound the best of contacts, but it's of no problem whatsoever to Matthew Stevens, because with a break of 53, he wins the first frame.